Destructive cyber attacks like ransomware, like wipers, they are the biggest existential threat businesses face at the moment. I think even with geopolitics the way it is, the economy the way it is, if there is a cyber event, you cannot deliver products and services.
Purely from an attacks point of view, how much harder is it for CISOs to detect and stop attacks on networks?
I think the answer's relatively straightforward. It's becoming increasingly difficult because business wants to diversify and adopt more and more applications and systems. And by virtue of doing that, the sprawl of opportunities and routes into the network are expanded. And that essentially just gives attackers more opportunity for routes into the organization.
There's a sort of description of CISOs facing a three body problem at the moment in terms of growing risk to data, partly due to hacking. Second issue, climate change, more risk of extreme weather, floods, heat waves. And thirdly, there's the EU itself bringing on more legislation, NIS2, DORA or the CRA. So how do you see these acting on CISOs and the issues that they face?
The solution to all three of those things is to build resilience. In the past, when we had incidents, we could still run the business, right? Someone stole the data. Really, all they did was steal a copy of the data. But now, with things like wipers and ransomware attacks, we can't run the business. So whereas, the typical CISO used to spend 85-95% of his budget on prevention and detection, now we've got to pivot and accept the fact that we live in a world where attacks are almost inevitable. If you look at the organizations that have been hit by ransomware over the last 10, 15 months, not small logos, not people with small security budgets and small security teams. I mean, I've worked in organizations where we've had 650 people in our core security team spending nearly $1 billion a year on cybersecurity, still couldn't stop an incident in 2014 that made 50 million records disappear. You can't spend your way out of a cyber incident. There's too much motivation on the attackers and there's too much attack surface. So we have to build this resilience. And the resilience is this ability to withstand an incident. Yes, some of that resilience needs to be against traditional weather events, but then we also need to build resilience for these cyber attacks, these destructive cyber attacks. But it requires two forms of holistic thinking. One is IT and security working together to do that investigation and then the recovery and mitigation. But it also requires us to look at everything, NIS, DORA, things like that, incident response programs, understanding impact of third parties on your business and your impact on third parties, and being threat-led. All of those things allow us to build that resilience within an organization.